This conference will now be recorded.
integrations, Einstein analytics, all this. Yeah. And current demo is about giving you an introduction about Salesforce. What is it? Where it starts? And why do we need Salesforce? What's the advantage? And we'll think about. We'll discuss about some opportunities as well. And what else? What else? Yeah, and of course, the details about some certifications, like which courses we are looking now, and what is the course content that we are gonna train, and then the certification details, all this. Yeah. Any questions, anyone, till now? Or if you are expecting anything else, do let me know. You'll have a lot of time to ask questions as well. Please do ask the questions. Yeah. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I'm able to see your screen.
Great. Uh, One second. Yeah, first we'll discuss about industrial evolution. So, as actually, I do know that most of you are aware of this. I'll just give you a heads up. So, the first industrial revolution as steam. It started between 1800 and 1700s, and then we are into electricity, like till 1900. Post that, that is where we started with computers. I think the first computer that was launched is from IBM, if I'm not wrong. Uh, then today, people are still thinking that actually we are into computing, but ideally we are into intelligence, fourth industrial revolution, where it is all about artificial intelligence. Okay, what is the difference? So the difference is that here in the third industrial revolution, whenever we need to speak with a computer, we used to give commands in the way that the computer can understand the things, right? For example, like if you want to delete some data, or if you want to ask the system to run some program and all, there are a lot of logics that you are writing in such a way that the computer can understand. But these days the system started speaking back to you, right? The best example is your Siri, right? Or your Google, your Alexa, right? So these systems are programmed in such a way that they will respond to your human voice, right? So that is where most of the technologists are working on now. And of course, even Salesforce is there with their analytics. Yeah. And before we jump in or deep dive, can someone tell me why do we need a software application? Anyone? Come on. I think you are using applications at least daily, 4 5 applications. You will open it in your mobiles and all, right? So, what is the purpose of it? There are two definitions for a software application, right? One is, yep, it makes our life more easier. Like instead of going, for example, if I want to do a transaction in the bank, I have to go to the bank in your early days, like when you are kids around 15, 20 years back. If you want to do any transaction where the ATMs is also not available, so you have to go to the bank, stand in a queue, get your wait for your turn, and then do the transactions, right? But these days you don't have to wait for it, right? You can do it on your fingertips using your mobile bankings, right? Or it could be like, let us say, um, remember your think about your SSC results or your inter results or engineering results, whatever you have to wait till the newspaper comes, make sure that things are your numbers are populated over there, all this. I still remember that we used to run behind the newspaper person to make sure our numbers are there in that. And even if it got revealed in the internet, like 10, 15 people used to go in a single shot and we used to see, right? So what is the difference here? So earlier, it's all the moment you speak about manual effort. So definitely, it is pretty slow. The communications are pretty slow. It will take a lot of time to understand, right? So, but now using your applications, things are pretty much easier. So this is basically helps us to make our life more easier. The best example is these days Uber or your e-commerce websites like Amazon, Big Baskets, or Flipkart, all this, right? So earlier to buy a vegetable and all, like you have to go to the market or nearby a grocery store or somewhere. But now you just open it, book anything, right? So this is for a customer. But how about a person who built that application, maybe an organization who built that application? Like, if you ask Steve Jobs, like, what is this Apple or what is this App Store is all about? He'll say, hey, this generates some revenue to my organization. He won't speak about it makes the human life easier. Even if he comes out and speaks about that, see, he's not no company is doing a charity in the market, right? So of course they're offering services, but it's not for free. Everything will be chargeable, and I mean, because they are accountable at the end of the year, right? Or end of the every quarter, which means when you're building any application, if you're building any application, you're always thinking like okay, how can I generate, or will this really worthy to generate a revenue now? Because now for example, I'm from Bangalore, so here people will use most of the online applications like Amazon Daily, Amazon Flipkart, or Big Basket, lot many things. Now again, if I build something which is a bit lesser than Amazon or a bit lesser than this Big Basket and all, then it's my foolishness, right? I'm not giving you any offers. I'm not giving anything. If I'm building some tool and I'm saying that, hey, use it, definitely they won't use it. So I need to build in such a way that it gives, or there should be an advantage for the customers as well, right? Now, let's say I got an idea. So basically, this application is built based on some idea, right? So you will see some use case in the market, and then you'll think that okay, let me build something like this. So that is how your Swiggy started, your Redbus started in India, right? So they have seen people standing in the queue getting the things done. Now I thought like, okay, why can't we do a home delivery? Why can't we allow the people to book the tickets online through some application? So that is what the idea these people are having. And then they started thinking about a solution. Now I got an idea, like, okay, sorry, I have seen a problem, then I got an idea, okay, this can be done, and now I need to design the solution. Now, for example, before this online tools, consider that we are using not the cloud, like legacy platforms like your Java or Oracle, like early versions, not now, not the current versions that you have in the market. There I thought like using one of these technologies, maybe a Python or something, I'll build some application. Now I started building the application. Now what happened, now I got to know that hey, application has to be, I mean, I need to set up some infrastructure. It's not like I'll just open my laptop and in the notepad I'll write the code, right? So I have to build some infrastructure, which includes servers, some software to run the show, and if I'm going with number of users, then I have to define the access. It's not like everyone can do everything in the system, right? So there should be certain things. Like for example, if you go with this red bus, so if I'm a customer, then I can book the seats. But if I'm the service provider, maybe some XYZ travels, if I'm having, then my job is to make sure the seats are available properly, or my information about the bus is available properly on the system. That is what I will do, right? So, which means there is a huge difference between a customer and a service provider. So that that access definition has to be done properly, and at the end I should get the reports and analytics, and of course security, because it involves your transactions. You will be sharing your bank details and all, right? So it basically, when you're booking a bus or a flight or something, it takes you to merge the payment gateways. During those such situations, like what kind of security we are providing, all this. And I should make sure that it is on built on mobile. It's not like simply I will, if I'm building on something on the laptop, or uh, which is used only on the laptops or desktops, then definitely I will have a less impact to the market. So that is where I have to think about how can I build this application on mobile. When I'm building it on mobile again, so I need a separate web designer who will build the screens which are responsive on my mobile, right? All these things has to be considered when you are working on your legacy platform. Now, one of the serious issue that we have to take care look into this is about your second point, that is setting up the hardware and a server. Ram, why do we need to think about it much? Because when I am speaking about a server will have have a capacity, because from the server you will host the application to the end users, right? So when I'm speaking about this, definitely each and every server that you're using, it will have a user capacity. Now each number of users it can handle in at a particular at any point of time, right? So how do I do this, how do I sort this? So let us say I'm building it for the first time in the market, and there is no people who are available to build this. So what I'll do is I will start with a server with a capacity of maybe 100 or 200, let's say 200. Okay, and then things started building, things are working fine. People liked it because this is the first time things came into picture. So people felt much more comfortable in using my application. Things are great, and number of people who are using my application are increasing day by day. And now the number of users that I bought, or the server capacity of that I bought, is having a max of 200, but now around 500 people are about to use my application. What happens? As I'm using a legacy platform, as I'm using the entire solution as on premise, where I'm defining everything on my own, then I have to increase my capacity of my server, because at any point of time my server will respond only to 100 people. But if I'm keep on getting the hits from n number of people, then there is a high chance that my server will crash, or even my application will crash, or even there are days where my server also might crash. To avoid this, what I will do is I will create a this is where we'll go with cloud. first, or what I have to do here, if I'm still going with legacy platform, then I have to increase the server capacity. So I will increase maybe for 100 or 200 by replacing it with a new server, or getting a bigger server or something. But I can't keep on raising the number of users, right? Because there will be a day where someone else in the market, maybe my closest friend who have seen this, he thought like, okay, why can't we also build something? Or he is my competitor, so he built a similar solution with much more advanced features. Then what happens? My users will slowly be attracted by my competitor, and I'll be losing my business. So there won't be any issues on the performance side, but the investment that I have for this system won't be returned properly, or a return of investments won't be there in my organization. So to avoid all this, and of course, as it's a legacy platform or an on-premise solution, the security also will be lesser. Because if you know my credentials, then there are chances that you can hack it very easily, right? To avoid all these things, we will go with cloud computing. Okay. So the left one is your on-premise solution, which is your legacy platform, where as the resource owner, you are whole and sole responsible for the entire solution. Now, when it comes to cloud, what happens is you will have a service provider. What he'll do, he'll come up and say that, hey, Krishna, if you want to build an application, I'll give you a space in my own server and you can start building it. So he'll say that I will maintain everything, because here in the initial days you have invested a lot for maintenance, all those things, right? Designing and all. He'll say that, yeah, I will maintain the server. I'll give you the storage space. I'll maintain the networking and everything. You don't have to worry about it. But pay me some license amount as you're using it. So that is where you'll go with cloud computing. Now, Ram, what is the main difference here? You don't have to think about your when it comes to cloud, you don't have to think about your giving the time for setting up the infrastructure. Because in your in 2007 or 6, till till those times, right? Or even 2000 also, like a lot of the companies who are working on this on-premise applications, they used to spend around 6 months to 12 months only to set up the infrastructure before they build the system, because it takes a lot of time for them, right? Now these days it's not like that. You have money, you have an idea, you want to build a solution, go to the cloud computing, pick the right one that you need, and you can start building it. Pay them and build it. That's it. But here, when it comes to cloud, again, we have three different sub-services, three different services in cloud. One is infrastructure, platform, and software. When I say infrastructure, you will have uh, halfway through. What is this, Ram? When I say infrastructure, if you see, only networking, storage, servers, and virtualization will be given by the service provider. What do you mean by this? If you want to build your own application, you need some software, right? They'll say, sir, I will give you a black box, okay, a space in my system. That's it. Rest all, it's up to you. It's all your headache to get your own software to build the application and install your own OS and get your own middleware to get the data communication with an external system. All this. You'll say, I'm least bothered about it, because there's what the service that I can provide. And this is where your first first cloud computing service that is available is your AWS. This is Amazon Web Services. So Amazon Web Services is a infrastructure as a service. Of course, they do have some couple of other services these days, but actually AWS started with Amazon Web Services, with infrastructure as a service, where halfway you have to go. Now, what is the advantage here, Ron, in your cloud? Because here in cloud, of course, they do have the same server capability, all these concepts. But when I speak about cloud, they'll say that we are using dynamic servers. What do you mean by a dynamic server? Here, dynamic server is nothing but a place where it will remember each and every uh, uh, users, and based on the number of users who are trying to access the system, these dynamic servers will create instances of your application in the cloud, and those instances will be shared to the end user. Okay, Ram, this is something new to us. So they will basically instance is nothing but an image of your application, because any software application is not a touch and feel, right? It's basically look and feel, right? So instead of giving you the access to the direct application, they'll give access to the instance or a image of your application. Now, what is the advantage? By any chance, due to the drastic change in the number of users, if something got crashed, your instance will crash, but not your application. What is the best example, Ram? If you remember, as most of you are from India, there is one of the biggest portal that widely used across the country is IRCTC, right? It used to crash all the time till 2015. Every time when you try to book a ticket, especially between 9 to 11 or so in the mornings, it used to crash all the time, right? Why? Because the capacity of that server is just 50 lakhs earlier, which no way you can compare with Indian population, because even if you take 10% of Indian population during those days, it is 10 crores. So it's like 10 crore is to 50 lakhs. So which is nowhere matches. That's why it used to crash. And now, of course, this was taken care by Infosys, if I'm not wrong, and they migrated this to cloud. So things are sorted now. That's why these days you can book the tickets from any medium, even from Paytm also. Yeah. Then comes to your platform as a service. Here what will happen is, okay, a bit more, it'll say, hey, I'll give you the black box along with the platform, but if you want to build the application, you build your own application. This is where your first application or the first license of Salesforce comes into picture, that is force.com platform license. The platform that we use in Salesforce is nothing but force.com platform. Now, Ram, what does it do? So it'll say that will get the space in the server with the number of users that we requested for, and they'll say that you can build your own application, you manage your own data along with your security. The next one is your software as a service. This is nothing but build. I mean, we will be provided with the software as a service through internet. Best example, your GoToMeeting, the one that we are doing for, right? I to join this session, I didn't downloaded anything, I didn't install anything. I have a plugin, or through URL I have joined the session. That's it, simple, right? So this is how we have different types of cloud computing. Okay, now these are a couple of examples. Then comes to your Salesforce. Salesforce plays both in platform and even software as well. Okay, so it's there in both platform and software. Now, why only Salesforce, Ram? Why not we go with any other technologies? So why? Because Salesforce has a lot of advantages. First thing, it has a customer 360 view. What is this? A bird eye view on a customer. Like, you can do anything and everything when it speaks when you're speaking about a product, sales, service, marketing, e-commerce, or analytics, or integration, or it can be used in any industry as well. So that is why Salesforce is called as 360, I mean, also called as customer 360 platform. Here, next thing, next advantage is Salesforce runs based on or defined based on CRM. What is CRM? CRM is nothing but a process which helps you to increase your business, like by maintaining a healthy relation with your customer. What is it? Let us say, I think you might have inquired for the training, right? From the career IT. If they are not responding to you, then definitely you'll say that, okay, hey, let's not go with this, yeah, because career IT won't respond, right? That's a simple answer that you'll give. But what if the sessions were conducted on time, you got a better offering, and then and then you got all the details and you were pretty much happy with the codes and all, then what you'll say, if someone else wants to learn Salesforce, you'll refer career IT only, right? So that is how, to complete this, uh, what needs to be done from the career IT side will be told to them by the CRM process if they are following it. And Salesforce is completely built based on CRM only. Okay, and of course it's used widely in multiple industries. It could be finance, it could be irrigation, it could be pharma, it could be oil and gas, it could be banking sector, it could be real estate. You take any any area, so Salesforce is there. Now, does this mean that, Ram, Salesforce is the only solution for every problem that we have? No. Wherever you see a collection of data which has to follow a process to get to get the maturity in on that data, we'll use Salesforce. So, Salesforce, to make it very simple, data Salesforce is a data maturation tool. Okay, like for example, I have 1,000 emails. I'm sending emails to my customers every day, or maybe I'm sending emails to some of the inquiries every day to tell about my product. Now, let's say out of 1,000, 300 people are not using or not even looking into my mails. So Salesforce, there are some licenses in Salesforce, especially marketing. It will tell me, see, only 700 people are opening your emails. So you don't have to consider about the other 300 every time. So it'll give me a proper filter saying that scrutinize these people. Likewise, you can set multiple levels also. Okay. And of course, Salesforce is widely used even in your smaller organizations also. Okay, it's not like only big, because the licenses are there from $2 to $10,000. So there is a wide variety of license range in Salesforce based on your requirement. You can pick the right one, right fit for your organization, and you can use it. And why people are running behind Salesforce? Because most of the organizations have recognized that there is a change of 40% in their profits, or there is an increase of 40% of their profits after using Salesforce. And that is one of the reason organizations are running behind Salesforce. Clear? Any questions till now? Anyone? And do let me know if it is getting bored. Then, now, the architecture of Salesforce follows multi-tenant architecture. What do you mean by that? It's a kind of apartment, I would say. So in my apartment, I have my own flat over here, which means I bought a flat. Now, let's say I feel like I need some lights, so I'll use. This is more or less a shared resource, right? Let's say I need water. It's not like Ram only is the only person who will pay the bill. Everyone in the in my apartment will pay the bill, and mine is a shared one, right? Or for example, if I want a pool, so we have a common pool. I don't have to build something which is owned by me or maintained by me, right? I can use the current one, or maybe a football court, or maybe a cricket court. So everything is there in my apartment because I live in a community, but it will be charged a bit lesser, right? Instead of having my own where it consumes a lot of maintenance, a lot of space, and everything. So this is much more better for me, right? So same thing in Salesforce also. So you are sharing the resources, and that's why you are charged less. But now, in my apartment, let's say I have a flat in here, I cannot go and sleep in my neighbor's flat, or I cannot go and shout in my neighbor's flat, right? Like I have my own limits. We'll say, Ram, this is what is your space. Be in your space. If I come out and shout, they'll say, boss, please vacate. Correct? Same thing here also. So there are some limitations in Salesforce when you are using any feature. And to make sure the other organizations are not disturbed. And those limitations are called as governor limits. Which means if let us say career IT is using this block, IBM will be using next one only in the same server, or maybe CTS might be using next to it. So you never know. Okay, that is one advantage because at the moment you speak about shared resources, the price will be lesser. Right? And now it's very simple. You got an idea, you want to build something, you buy Salesforce license and you build your application. That's it. It's as simple as that. Okay. And now the best part of Salesforce is by default it is enabled or it is available on all the three devices, whether it could be a laptop or a tab or a mobile as well. Okay. So you don't need a web developer to build your application because these things comes by default, right? You have to do small configuration changes, but yes, this is much more easier. Okay, then see, this is the difference when you are working with Salesforce and any infrastructure, any legacy platform. Because the moment you speak about Salesforce, basically what happens is most of your issues are sorted. You can happily concentrate your most of your time in building the application, but setting up your infrastructure, your operations, all these things will be ignored because that is already taken care by Salesforce, and that is what you are paying for, right? It will be taken care. So that is why ideally you can build the applications in a couple of weeks or even in days also based on your requirement. Okay, I should hide this. Okay, so he is the CEO of Salesforce. His name is Mark Banyev, and he'll always keep one word called trust. So yeah, will you discuss about this as well? So one of the important thing when we speak about cloud is okay, Ram, how safe and secure it is. So, for example, to the 2015 or 16, if I have my friend's Gmail credentials or any Facebook credentials, I can log in as him and I can use it in my system also, right? But from then, it was like Google or Facebook and enabled an extra security where even if I know their credentials, it will ask for a verification code, right? Two-step verification, authentication, all these things are there, right? This was already implemented in Salesforce before 2007 or 8. Okay, so since then, even if I have a credentials of Salesforce of someone else, I cannot go with my own in my own system with someone else credentials, right? Because the security is built in such a way that no one can hack your system, and that is why post the session, even if you search right, there won't be a single date where you can see a data breach in Salesforce. Okay, and the next part is a beauty, which is about AppExchange. So what is this? So you people are aware of your App Store in your Apple phones, right? Or your Play Store in your Google phones. So to be honest, I won't say Google copied it, but this what is this Play Store? Play Store or a App Store is a place where you will download an application like WhatsApp, Facebook, and all. You will use it for your communications, or you can use it for your banking transactions. All this, right? So this is a place, a marketplace where you can download the applications based on your requirement and start using them. Point number one. Number two is so even if you are a best developer, you can build. You won't build any application which are based on that requirement, right? You will use the existing one. Why? Because it will save your time and money. Right? The same thing even in Play Store also. But ideally, this marketplace came from App Store first, and then Google also built something, and they announced it as Play Store later, right? Now, actually, this App Store domain itself is registered by this fellow. So, as he is a friend of Steve Jobs, he has gifted it to Apple. And he came up with a new word called AppExchange. Okay, what is this AppExchange? Using AppExchange, I can build an application and I can share it with anyone else who are using Salesforce, and I can charge them based on based on the complexity. If I want to charge, I can charge, or I can give it for free as well. Okay, that's the difference. Here, these are the numbers, but these are a bit older. More or less, things got increased a lot. Yeah. And we do have a lot of app exchange products. And the best part is, unless until it is properly verified or reviewed by the app exchange team of Salesforce, they won't allow you to publish your solution in this app exchange. Why? Because it will affect their customers. They look into each and every aspect, whether it could be UI, the data model, the design, or even the security as well. Okay. Suppose this economy is not required. This is how the growth of Salesforce is. This slide makes much more sense, especially for you people. Now, why? Because here I have a lot of information. It speaks about the organizations that it acquired and the partners that it has, and it shows me where, in which country it is. Of course, this is important, but not for you. For you, what is important is the technology growing? This is what is very important. Why? Because let's say in this session, there might be people who are looking for a job for the first time, or there might be people who are already working in some technology and looking for a change in their career. So first person is okay, because they'll look for the best and they'll go with it. But for especially for second person, why you are looking for a career change? Because there could be multiple reasons. One is maybe the packages are not sufficient, which means package is added in Salesforce, or maybe the technology that you are working on is saturated. Like let's say when you started your career, out of 100, there are for 100 positions, you people might got only 50 or 60 people. So there was a good demand. But now these days, 5,000 people learn your technology, and you have only 100 positions in the market. So there is a tight and tough competition. And why the tough competition? Because this also means that most of the companies are not using that technology. So this could be another reason, right? Now, when you're switching, so you should always assure that okay, for how much or how many years I can happily survive in my in the new technology. So if you ask me for the next 1 decade, for sure, that there is no way that Salesforce will go down, because Salesforce is not just growing vertically; they are diversifying and they are growing horizontally as well. They're into multiple features, and that is where if you see here, the growth of Salesforce is always up, and their expectation by 24 is to raise $35 billion company, which is one of the costliest or richest organizations in the world, right? And if you are a part of Salesforce, definitely your opportunities, because if my organization is, if the technology is growing, which means that it will generate a lot of jobs as well. So I'll also happily live, right, without restrictions. So this how it is. And then these are the different certifications that we have in Salesforce. I will discuss mainly in the sessions about administration and the development. So you can go with the certifications of admin and development post the sessions. And how I mean, I mean, what are we going to discuss in admin and development? Detailed course content will be shared with you by Career IT. Now, I'll say admin is a place where we'll define the application, define the automations, validations, etc., which will be taken care by the admin itself along with the security concepts without writing a single line of code. Okay, why? Because or what is the prerequisite for this? If you know how to use Excel sheet, I'm not even speaking at the level of VLOOKUPs and all. A very basic Excel sheet that should be enough to learn Salesforce admin initial stage. So why? Because Salesforce is also called as fully loaded automated Excel. Same table structure, everything will be there in Salesforce. I'll give you more details maybe in the next session. Suppose that. Then, but when you're defining the application using the admin screens of Salesforce, there are a couple of places where there is a lag or there are some disadvantages where your admins cannot process those user requests. So that is where we'll go with the development. So development means like when it will help you to sort out the cons of your admin features, which means if I have to learn development, the prerequisite is to must learn admin. Second thing is, as we are speaking about development, we need to learn some basics of maybe it could be Java or object-oriented programming. If you have the knowledge, it will be great enough. If not, you might have to practice a bit more than others who are already aware of Java. Because if you are aware of Java and all, then this will be a cakewalk. And we use JavaScript, we use HTML, we use CSS. So those are pretty easier like when you go with some w3 schools or something, very basic things. Yeah, this is what I'm gonna discuss, yeah, in the course content. And then Ram, how many sessions? So okay, before that, so to learn the development you must learn admin. That is first sure. It's not just with me, anyone else in the world whosoever is training you in Salesforce. Next thing is, when it comes to course content, so we'll have 40 sessions overall, plus or minus. It will be plus only, not minus. So which means around 2 months, right? Which is because I train people only on the weekdays, not on the weekends. Only demos will be taken care on the weekends. Then first, we'll go with admin and then we'll go with the development, but I won't discuss only about the concepts in the initial stage and give you the entire project at the end. Instead, right from day one, we'll discuss about some market standard application, and then we'll bring that and we'll see how do we define that in Salesforce by looking into each and every feature. Which means by end of the day, the moment we complete the features, you will have a full-fledged application in your own organization or in your own Salesforce, which also means that you will be getting a practice on. Of course, it is free. We are not, no one is gonna pay for this. So I'll tell you where to get a free environment to build or get the knowledge in Salesforce. Yeah. And for these certifications, you have to pay $200 to Salesforce, wherein which I'll try to get, not try, I will definitely get you a discounted voucher of $40 at the end of the session. And these are a couple of numbers, but again, these are pretty old. Um, this is for a very lesser experience cloud, because these days one of my junior who is at 4 years 4 or 4 years 2 months experience, and he got a package of 29.5 plus 2 lakhs as joining bonus, so it is close to 31 lakhs. That is how the market these days in sales above for Salesforce, because there are huge number of opportunities that are available, and these are different roles that are there in the system. Okay. That's all from my end. Anyone has any questions on anything? So I'll tell you tomorrow how to get the license, all the details for the details.
Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, as a experienced software professional, so how much what kind of what I meant to say is, see, I'm
Which
having some 10
technology
plus
you're
years of
working for?
experience.
Which
Sorry.
technology
Hello.
you're working for?
I'm working in AS400. Hello. It's a
Okay.
mid range legacy system.
Okay. So an open secret in the market is you have to go with, I mean, if you go with 2 years or 3 years of Salesforce experience, either one you can say the earlier technology that you're working for, I think that suits your this thing profile.
Yeah, the problem is, even though I'm having 10 plus years in this technology, suppose if I learn Salesforce, how much compete, how people will take the advantage of my experience compared to the Salesforce. Why? Because in Salesforce, as like I will be having exposure, but not like real time.
Yeah, that is where we, as I said, right, you should speak about, you should tell them that you worked in another technology maybe for 6 years at least, and the other 4 years you have to go with this option called fakes experience, because
Mhm.
4 5 years, still 4 years or 5 years, you won't people won't expect too many interview questions, I mean too much of complexity in the system. Maybe in the initial interviews, for sure, you might fail for a couple of interviews, but later on, it will be much more easier. Because end of the day, more or less, all technologies does the same thing, but the way that you use the terminologies will differ. That should not be an issue. And at the same time, when you speak about experience and all, like you have to practice a bit more than others, so that you will be able to crack the interviews up much more easily.
Okay, so is this like more practical oriented sessions? Or how it
Yeah,
will be like?
most of the times, one of you will be sharing the screens to complete this. Sorry, in the sessions, I won't be sharing. I'll be sharing the screens in a very lesser time. I mean, in very less number of sessions. So practice will be there in the sessions itself.
Okay, are you going to explain any live project or something like
Yeah, that's what I
like
was
web
saying,
building
right? Like we
application?
will start with a project. We won't start with the concepts. We'll discuss about the project and then we'll go forward.
Okay. So how about this, clearing of the certifications, administration or development?
The knowledge that you're getting in the course is enough to clear the certifications. I will be asking about the certification questions every day, so you don't have to worry about it. Within a week post the session completion, you can get the certification at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Saiti, I suggest you learn admin because admin is not that technical. I mean, of course, it is technical, but you don't have to write a single line of code. As I said, like it will be pretty much easier. Okay. Um, Once done, uh, then you start by then parallelly, if you learn some oops concepts, then I think it will be easier for you to learn the development as well, because I won't suggest people to just settle down with admin, because the moment you just think about only admin, right? As I said, admin is the prerequisite for developer, which means there is a market, there is a huge demand for developers rather than admin. Why? Because as a developer, I can do both the jobs of admin and development, right? So why business will look for only administrator? So that will be a problem. So rather than looking for that, I suggest you to go with the development as well. And it doesn't mean that you have to go with the developer role only, but you have something called business analyst who knows each and every feature of Salesforce. For example, if you see here, who know so business analyst is the person who knows each and every feature of Salesforce, but he may not code, right? His job is to make sure the requirements given by sales by the business really fits to Salesforce or not, and he has to provide the justification why it is doing it. And especially, I'm not discriminating, but especially for ladies, BA roles fits well. Yeah, because you won't have too much of stress like the develop when you are a development when you're a developer. The stress also, or you'll have a lot of work life balance as well when you take a business analyst role. But of course that needs an idea of both admin and development. So in my
Ram,
BA is the person who will do some developments upon his interest. I'm not saying that he is the person who will do everything. Yeah, Krishna.
yeah, coming to this development, actually, I'm more into technical. Uh, this app, what are the, this Apex Lightning, how depth? Now, are we going to cover all those in depth? Or how?
Yeah, yeah, in depth. So each and every concept that is needed, especially for your certification and interviews, will be covered for sure, Krishna. You no need to worry about it.
Okay.
Regarding timings, we are thinking for six to seven 7 a.m. IST every day, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. every day. Yeah. Or if you have any other doubts on it, you can connect with career IT people. Any other questions, anyone?
So 6 to 7 is the only slot available.
As of now, yeah, we are thinking with the same. Yeah, that should be fine. No need to worry, Saiti. Even in your degree, you might have used Excel sheet, right? Or maybe attend initial sessions, maybe 1 or 2 sessions, then you take a call. It's okay. If you feel that this is very complicated, then yeah, you can ignore. Okay, then. If you don't have any questions, let's drop off. And yep, thanks for joining, especially on your weekends. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.